Hello, hello, guys, and welcome to Miss German Let's Talk. Here we dive into the wildest, funniest, and darkest Reddit stories that we can potentially find on the internet. So grab a drink, sit back, and let's get right into today's episode. And with that said, Happy New Year's to all of us. This is my first video in 2026. Right? And what are we talking about today? Doctors and nurses of Reddit. What is the funniest ER story you have? Let's dive into what doctors and nurses have been doing in the time we were at home with our families, having Christmas and New Year's Eve, and so to speak. And let's go. What funny things have they had in their ERs? I was working in triage when we checked patients in a mid-30s woman came up trying to explain her symptoms. She kind of leaned over and whispers, I got them Skittles down there. I had sex with a guy and got them Skittles. As I'm trying to see if she's serious, trying not to laugh, she says she has to go to the bathroom. I'm boggled and just more or less like, what the fuck does that even mean? Skittles in her, never mind. My coworker came up to me to relay something while Skittle Lady came back from the bathroom and said, never mind. Don't have to worry about them Skittles, skate gone. And she walked out of the yard, leaving me there while I'm trying not to bust out of laughing. My coworker looked horrified. Another day in triage. I have to say, if I feel like the most difficult part for either a nurse, a doctor, or someone who's just working in healthcare is to not laugh at specific patients when they're like coming in and having like a serious problem. Then of course nobody laughs, but in those Skittle Lady moments we all love. Please comment below in in the video hashtag we love you Skittle Lady. Next story. It was before I got into medical school. I was volunteering in the ER. I walked in one night and a tech was scrubbing a guy with road rash down his arm, his body, and his leg. It looked really painful, and I asked the patient what happened. I was on my Harley and I was being chased by the cops. I went around the corner, hit some gravel, and laid my bike down. I noticed the man's wife in the corner of the room roll her eyes. How does that story sound? He asked. Sounds great, I said. What really happened? And then he said, I was on my scooter going downhill and I fell off. Stick with the first story, I said. Damn. Imagine you're just trying to like impress someone. He should he should definitely stick with the first story. Oh gosh, guys. I love those stories from 2026. Okay, next story. We had one woman come back again and her chief complaint was constipation. So for everybody who doesn't know, chief complaint means the first symptom, the reason why someone came into the hospital. Going into her chart, I saw that she had been previously giving some suppositories to take, and in the triage note, she said her meds weren't working and she wanted some different ones. So the doc is asking her questions, making sure nothing else is wrong, and they get to the part about the meds. She says, well, yeah, the pills I got last time were huge. I have to break them in half to swallow them. And then we had to explain that suppositories are not meant to be eaten. And that was why her medication was not relieving her symptoms. She thought suppository was the name of the medication, like Tylenol for acetaminophen. I still can't forget the doctor explaining to her how to actually use her medication on your thumb and then up the bum. You see, guys, that's really difficult for a doctor to not get sued sometimes because we gotta stay professional, right? They gotta stay professional. But nice stories, really nice stories. Okay, we have another triage story. I was triaging patient and going through the usual question. I asked him if he was moving his bowels all right. When he abruptly got up and closed the door to the triage room, he said, "Well, that's sort of why I'm here." I nodded and said, "Okay, why are you here today?" He replied, "I have an object stuck in my rectum." I said, "I see what it is." He flatly stated, "A wooden dovel." He spread his hands apart by about 18 inches and said, "It's this long," and then curled his fist into a circle about 3 inches in diameter and said, "It's this round." I nodded and he looked directly into my eyes and said, "You probably think this is some kind of perverted sexual thing, don't you?" In a deadpan voice, I replied, "I don't think so. I only write." This is about 9 p.m. I asked him, "When did this object become lodged in you?" He said, "Yesterday around 3 p.m. The guy had spent over 24 hours trying to get this piece of lumber out of his butt." One of the triage questions was, "Who are you accompanied by?" Mhm. When I asked him that, he said, "My brother." There are just some things you need to confide with your brother about. I was thinking to myself, had this been me, I would have driven to West Virginia, checked in under the name of John Smith, and paid in cash before I told my brother. Long story short, he needed to have surgery to remove the object. Moral of the story, if you're going to put something up your butt, use a lanyard so that you can retrieve it. Whew. Well. There is a reason why healthcare workers do not judge people, and that is a story that tells you exactly why you should never judge someone. Next story. EMT. This was my last day of training. Responded to a life alert call. This could have been anything. Firefighters get there first and we get no updates, so we take everything from the truck just in case. We get into the apartment and there's firefighters frantically running around the kitchen that was surrounded by a baby gate. We see the patient and she looked fine, just sitting in a wheelchair talking to the firefighters. We ask what was going on. The firefighter says to us that Miss Life Alert is not allowed in the kitchen because she almost burnt the house down, so that's why there is a baby gate to block her in. She lives with her son and he's working today, so Miss Life Alert wanted a piece of cake but couldn't get to the kitchen. So she thought the most logical way of getting it was to press her Life Alert button so that the firefighters could get it for her. So I'm standing there learning and seeing the firefighters ask if she wanted iced tea with her cake and slicing it for her. I asked my file training officer what I write in the report. He says to me, "Just say we were cancelled by fire." There's a saying that says it's better to come one time too much than one time not early enough. In that case, I get that the lady might be feeling very alone, right? Especially if you're having your son who is gone and you have nobody else at the house, and then you're just alone on yourself and you're bored and you don't know what to do. It might seem like that lady needs some friends, but also don't call our good firefighters for it. Next story. And let me see, what kind of stories do we have? Whew. Okay. Not a doctor or nurse, but a firefighter. Got a call and the guy was DOA, died sitting on his couch. We're all hanging around waiting for the ME to show up, and one of the guys I'm working with, an old salty firefighter, gets tired of standing around, so he sits down on the couch next to the body. And EMT walks in to tell us that family members just showed up. The guy on the couch slaps the body on the shoulder and says, "Hey, people here to see you." Well, damn. Being dead is no excuse to not stop drooling. Didn't your mother teach you any manners? That's what the guy probably said to him. Damn. Well, that guy got some humor. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's stories. And I hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you did, don't forget to like that video and subscribe for more. I'll be back soon with more crazy Reddit stories. See you next time. Bye.